All right then. Welcome back to the Foxhole. The Scene, Season 3, Episode 2. As promised, we're going to try to roll out all of these episodes as quickly as we can. Always searching for new content, especially for this platform. So if you're doing something interesting, please send us a line, FTINFX at gmail.com, or call the hotline, 541 525 0896. Yeah, we'd love to have you. Obviously, season 3 in the beginning, we've got like a theater centric theme as far as the first couple of episodes. The first one being with my good friend Angie, wig master for the Alabama Shakespeare Festival. Check that out. We just dropped that. And then we have episode 2, which is going to be a nice conversation. Actually, a return visit. Danette Lamson, one of the creative directors for the Roving Park Players, a itinerant community theater troupe that's based here in Eugene. It was wonderful having her a few years ago. It's fantastic to have her back now. And so, as I get my stuff together here, I'll cue this up in a minute. But this is a fun conversation. It's always great to have folks like Danette. That's why we really encourage you all to really consider coming on if you have something you want to talk about. Hang out with me. It'll be fun. And trust me, the conversations we've already had for season 3 are popping. Going to be a high fidelity experience along the way. Stay tuned. We're always under construction, so bear with some of the hiccups that we encounter during some of these recordings. It's only going to get better. Okay, you've heard enough of me babble. Now it is on to Miss Danette Lamson, creative director of the Roving Park Players. See, as I'm always telling you, we got to get used to some of these things, especially with things, the setting, not to cooperate the way we want them to. Okay, welcome back. The foxhole is actually foxtrotting out on the road, getting to see a wonderful friend of ours. If you remember from season one of Scene, we had that on talking about her activities doing itinerant community theater. That was a while ago. And so we want to find out what's going on in 2026. So without further ado, because I can babble forever, I want to introduce you to our good friend, Miss Danette, once again.
Hi, I can babble forever too, so we're going to have to watch it. Anyway, glad to be here, Kenny, and thank you so much for thinking of us and coming over and doing this.
Love that you have invited me into your wonderful home and fantastic hospitality. Getting to listen to some great Grateful Dead view from the vault, which always makes me smile, as you all know what my hippiedom is. Okay. Well, like I said, we're here once again to sort of revisit with Danette as far as her role in community. She does a lot of stuff in this community, by the way, folks. This woman rocks, and this is why Eugene's cool, because people like her making it happen.
I love to hear that. Okay, I'm never going to get tired of hearing things like that. I may never believe it 100%, but I do like hearing it.
Well, I wouldn't say if it wasn't true. So let me ask you. I mean, how is life, and how is it treating you?
Well, life is actually really pretty good. I am greatly enjoying working with Roving Park Players right now on our production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. I am enjoying working at the Wow Hall both as a ticket office manager, poster distribution manager, and head concessionaire, which means I get to see a lot of shows, and that's super fun. And I just like being in the community with so many people. It's just really good. There's so many good things going. I've got beautiful kitties I love.
Oh, fantastic. Hey, so, since this is the scene and we do like the arts and music, any upcoming shows at the Wow Hall that we should know about, maybe for our audience?
I should be able to spew something off the top of my head. But I would say the show that I'm most currently excited for, one of them is Stella Standing Bear, who is a Lakota hip hop artist who has won Indigenous American Grammy Awards for her work. And she's coming to the Wow Hall on Sunday,
Wow.
June 7th, which is tomorrow,
Tomorrow,
which will
yeah.
probably be after this broadcast. But I am just really knocked out by what she does and having her come. And she's a beautiful woman, and she's got a great and powerful message. And we are really lucky to get her. So there's that show. And I know there's some other ones, but boy, right now I just can't think of
Okay,
them.
no, hey.
I never can.
Hey, you just dropped a hot one, and if
Yeah.
I get this out in time, maybe people will see it and
Oh, yeah.
bring their cute behinds to the Wow Hall and see something fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me drop into this then. We're just gonna take a little step back, and let me just ask you, what is or who is the Roving Park Players?
The Roving Park Players is Eugene Springfield's only itinerant theater company. That means that we do not have a home-based theater that we're acting out of. We travel from place to place to place. How that works is everybody carries the props, everybody sets up the set, everybody puts the costumes together and takes them apart. We load it all up and take it home at the end of the evening. We have no stage managers. We have no prop mistresses. It is the crew. The cast is the crew. The crew is the cast. And everywhere we go, it's a different stage. So sometimes it's a different audience too. Frequently it is. But as a rule, it's a real adventure. So in some cases, like when the weather is against us, it is extreme theater. And I could say that like in June, when the pollen count is really high and
Like it
the
is now.
cottonwood trees, as it is now, cottonwood trees are just snowing wood all around us. That's extreme theater when you're out in the middle of that. I will say that right now. So that's kind of what we do. And our mission is very much that theater should be accessible to all people. And by theater should be accessible to all people, what we mean is that not only should it be accessible to all audiences, despite the cost that it may be, so you don't have to shell out $20 or $7 or $8 or anything to see our plays. You can be absolutely poor as the day is long, and you will be able to get a really excellent theatrical experience. But it also means that if you want to act, it does not depend on your experience. You will have an opportunity to act. You will be nurtured, you will be taught, you will be taken care of, and you'll have the opportunity in front of a whole bunch of people to be in your let's play pretend world. And that is a wonderful thing for people. And we have people who come out to be a part of our shows just all the time because of that.
Wow, that's really fascinating. I mean, that's a whole lot to chew on, for one. But because I'm so fascinated with that, and I think as we talked before, and it gets even more illuminated now, a few years later, especially coming out of the pandemic, which I'm going to ask you about, where entertainment is. It's at this weird level where, as far as everything's premium, the World Cup obviously coming is a great example, and everything's a big cash grab. And to hear someone say that this is something that can provide entertainment, something you can participate in, where it doesn't cost a lot of money. You don't need a big bag of cash, as my buddy SJ says, to do it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is really, as we like to say, pretty badass. Pardon my language, people. I'm getting better. We're going to have a cuss jar one of these days.
Yeah. Well, it really is. And that is something that's really big. And coming out of the pandemic, though, It has been challenging. People have been hungry for entertainment. They're hungry for theater. They will come out to see things, but things cost more. And it's been rough for us. We are finding ourselves writing grants. We're doing fundraisers. We're asking our people who have followed us or supported us over the years to please contribute. Please consider contributing a little more, that kind of thing. We have to pay for storage costs. We sometimes have to pay for rental spaces. At this point, we don't pay for royalties. Most of the plays we do are public domain. So, but we do depend completely on donations, and people have been very, very generous with us.
Cool.
And that is, I will tell people that we love your applause, and we do. We love your applause. We love your laughter. We love your smiling faces. But when you put $1 in the box, that means we can come back. And that is really what's kind of important. And I hate it that it has to be like that. When we first started, we had no fees for anything. We were able to do all of our venues, even indoor venues, we were getting free, and now everything costs, and it's a challenge. But it's good to do, and it's good to be back, and it's good to be acting with other people.
Right, right. You've just brought up two things that I didn't even consider when putting this outline together. One, the extreme, being outside, especially living in the Northwest, but then funding, which is something that, I don't know why I didn't think about that either, as far as, the questions I had. But those were one interesting things. And when you get to see the wonderful drone shots in between scenes, I will put up some information where you can donate, because she will tell me.
Yes,
and
I will.
Please help us sister out.
I ain't crying about that. I would love that. That would make me very happy.
Let me circle back one more, though. Okay, so I guess this is a two-parter, but it's, softball. One would be, how long has this group been providing entertainment to our community, and how long have you been involved?
Yeah, those are kind of hard questions.
Okay. Maybe not such a softball.
Yeah, I know. We just did like a gathering with we're doing Midsummer Night's Dream, and one of our first rehearsals, we all introduced ourselves and kind of said either I've never done a Roving Park Players show before, or this is my 5th or 6th. And when they came to me, I had to say, I really don't know how many I've done, and I'm not bragging. I think I have been with Roving Park Players since 2008. I'm real sure it might be 2007. So that would be 19 years.
19 years, people.
And so I think they've been around for probably 20 or 21 years, because I wasn't in the first productions. I was in about the 3rd or 4th productions, and then I've been with them consistently ever since, for at least one play a year. So
okay, wow,
yeah, I know, staying power for a shoestring production, or a shoestring organization.
And you got involved again. So was this because obviously you have a love for theater? Is it somebody word of mouth? Did you stumble upon this?
Oh, no, I had friends. I had
Okay.
actually been acting with Free Shakespeare in the Park from about 2005. I think I did 3 or 4 shows with them. And I made friends. And 2 of my friends, Lisa Blanchard and Vicky Harkovich, had been working with Free Shakespeare, and they said, I can do this too. So they formed Roving Park Players. And because we were good friends, I ran into them putting on a play called The Bell Stratagem at what was once Cosmic Pizza and is now World Pies, back in the old days where they could do things for free. And we kind of, I just was like, I looked at it and I thought, I can do this. I might be able to direct a show I like. I can act in something I like. So I got involved right away.
Okay, I like that answer. Okay, let me. We just mentioned the pandemic, and because like the last time we met, that was what, 21, right?
Yeah.
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 So let me. Since the pandemic, the world has turned upside down a few times. I think it continues to. What has changed for you in this group, let's say? Because obviously there's a lot of, I don't know, heart and soul that is required to make something like this continue to last for 19 or 20 years. In that, 5 years or so since then, what has changed for you in this group as far as your participation goes?
This is a real interesting thing that's changed. Well, one thing, just a real obvious change, is we have actors who will not act indoors because they are sensitive to the possibility of getting sick. They will wear masks at all times indoors, which kind of limits your ability to act well. And the other thing, though, that's really big has been that we work with something called an intimacy coordinator, and that was something I'd never heard of in
Intimacy
theater.
coordinator.
Yeah, for years. I mean, I just took it for granted that if the scene needed me to get shoved, I'd get shoved, you know? I mean, I was in one production of A Midsummer Night's Dream where I played a fairy, and Puck just like throws me on the ground and puts his foot on me and leaves me on the ground. And now that requires a lot of work with an intimacy coordinator. When I first had heard about it, I thought, this is just bullshit. Yeah, I mean, this is just, baloney. Squeeze me. Sorry.
That's
Not
okay.
being very nice.
And
Swear
we have a
hard.
cuss jar. One of these days it's going to happen.
Yeah. But I thought, why do we need this, And those of us who are older actors, we've been through a lot with people. We've had to do the stage kiss in front of people we don't know with somebody we're not entirely comfortable with. We've done all of those things. We've jumped over those boundaries. And I was just thinking, come on, guys, you're so sensitive. But then when I had the opportunity to work with an intimacy coordinator, it was like, oh my God, I wish I'd had this my whole life. I want you to follow me everywhere, all right? And just talk to people. Because one of the things she would talk about was she would say, there are fences we have. So like, for instance, where you do not want to be touched, you can say, this is a fence. For instance, for me, the middle of my back, I'm like, do not touch the middle of my back. That is a fence. Don't touch me there, And I realized things like, I don't want my hands squeezed hard. I don't want these things done. And we're able to get that out in the open instead of going, ow, what are you doing? That's hurting me. And it just kind of, it helps. And they're using it with A Midsummer Night's Dream because we have some, a lot of touching in A Midsummer Night's Dream. And I'm finding that I'm a lot more relaxed with it and a lot more like, yeah, this is a good thing. I'm comfortable with this. So it's good.
Well, that is fascinating because another aspect I had really, I don't know, just kind of went over my head. Thinking, okay, let's talk about the pandemic, but I didn't think about how folks are pretty spooked out, and there's all kinds of other wonderful antigens flying in the air, or whatever you want to call that.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah, I can see that. So that brings me to an interesting question. Participation, has it stayed the same, increased, or decreased in this 5-year interval?
Actually, it really hasn't changed that much.
Okay.
For the outdoor shows, we always get a lot of people. People love to go to our outdoor shows. If for no other reason, they get to sit on the grass and drink wine and watch us do all the heavy lifting, and it's fun. But so we haven't seen a real change in our outdoor show production. For our indoor shows, we are doing really good if we're doing like a classic, like a Christmas Carol or something like that. Some shows we're getting less audiences, but I think it has more to do with the fact that they don't know the show very well. They're not familiar with the play, but they're not afraid to come out. We're not having a lot of problem with that. We have a lot of older demographic frequently for a lot of our plays, and they're very comfortable coming out and clustering with each other and all of that. So that seems, it's almost like COVID has come and gone for us in some ways.
Okay, so and also in this 5-year window, we like it or not, or loathe it, as we like to say, technology. With AI obviously being at the forefront. Has that impacted has technology impacted what you do, helped it, or it's whatever, technology's not part of what we're doing, we just do our thing?
Well, actually, technology, we have gotten an upgrade because doing plays in the parks, we have a lot of outside noise that we're competing with. We act different in an outdoor setting than you would in an indoor setting. So you have to be louder. You have to be loud. And even sometimes when you're being loud, it's not being loud enough. So we do have a system of mics that are in front of the stage, and we have some amplifiers that are projecting it out. That doesn't mean you can be quiet. It means you still have to be loud. But for years, we had the clunkiest system on earth, and it was powered by like a battery. We had little tiny, like hearing aid devices or something stuck on sticks next to people. It was just really, really, really funky. And through the auspices of somebody writing a really good grant under my radar completely, we got a brand new sound system, and it's a really good sound system. And no car batteries running it, nothing like that. It's just really, really nice to have that. And I would say that for roving park players, that is the one piece of technical equipment that we work with.
Okay, okay. See, I'm learning something all the time, and I was kind of like wondering, like, wow, all this cool stuff that's going on, but something like what Danette does and her people, gee, are they using any cool new tech? Or now I know.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a slight break for editing purposes. We will be back momentarily.
Okay, I have one more thing I would really like to share about roving park players, and that is that when we are outside in the parks traveling from place to place, we are part of an ancient tradition of theater that people have been a part of. And it doesn't matter if you're an actor or an audience member, you are a part of this thing that has happened where the people come in, they roll in, and this is just great. You can watch us come in, we're carrying everything in, gets down, suddenly you see this set slowly begin to build. Then you hear in the background, they're warming up, they're doing our voices, we're talking, we're laughing, we've got stuff going. Then it gets real quiet, music comes on, people step out, they speak about our play, then they go back in, then there's a play happening. And then there's intermission where you get up and you get to run around and do stuff. Then the intermission is over and there's a play happening. And you see this whole play, you can follow the arc, it ends. There's wonderful, marvelous applause always, maybe because it's over, maybe because they liked it. And then you watch it all break down and get packed up and go out again, just like the itinerant travelers of the 19th century, of the 18th century, 17th century, 16th century, 15th century. You know, it's just been going on for a long time. And
Ooh,
that's really cool. And I got to say one more thing, too.
please.
This is really fun. We're doing Midsummer Night's Dream. And in the middle of the play, Midsummer Night's Dream, or at the end of the play, actually, a play is put on by local community actors. And, of course, it's very fun. So it's just a really fun experience to watch a play put on by community actors about community actors putting on a play. And to be in the middle of that, it's like, whoa, here it is. It's pretty meta. So that's really cool. It's once again being a part of a really big tradition and also being conscious of what we are doing.
okay. Which I guess leads me to who's going to these shows? Is it a particular age group, demographic? What's the deal with this?
Well, I'll tell you, we get all kinds of age groups. It was real fun when we were doing Richard III. We were out by Peterson Barn, and they were doing a big scene with the sword fight towards the end. No, it was actually before then. We had a couple of like 10 or 11-year-old kids, little boys on bicycles, were riding threw their bicycles on the ground, sat down, and were just enraptured watching this play as we're yelling and there's sword fighting and all kinds of exciting things. And I could see they're just like going, this is really great, and it's Richard III, for God's sake. So people of all ages do watch this. They do get engaged. So our demographic will be largely, if we're playing in like a nursing home's wrong, residential care community or someplace like that, it's going to be an older demographic. But we see younger people bringing their dates, okay? When we are outside in the parks, frequently it's families, also dates, also things like that. When we do the kids show, a lot of families, a lot of little kids running around. There's almost always a dog somewhere, sometimes more than one dog. and that's always
It'd be in Eugene, after all.
yes, there can be some real drama around that too. So we actually go all ages, but I would say the people that generally come to our plays are people who are interested in what the play is. So if we are doing a Midsummer Night's Dream, for example, we are going to have people who know Shakespeare, who are familiar with it, or who have an idea about it. If we're doing Persuasion, we have this group of people, and they're absolutely terrifying, called the Janeites, Jane Austen fans, who know Jane Austen one side up, one side and down the
What
other.
are they called?
Janeites, like
Janeites,
Jane-E, yeah, I-T-E-S, yeah, the Janeites. And they're like really scary to us because they are watching us for
I can
any
imagine.
false move. Yeah, totally. And a lot of times we also depend very heavily on our family members and friends to come and support us. Also, our audiences, like most Eugene theater, is made up of people who know other people who are in the theater that you're going to support them in. So there's that.
Okay. Before I circle into some more direct questions, let me ask another softball. How hard is it to get involved with a local theater company like yours?
With ours, my rule is if you show up at my shows, at my auditions, I mean, not my shows, but my auditions with a pulse, you're probably going to be in the play somewhere. I will just decide how you will do it. Other shows, it has other, I'm really messing this one up. Other
okay.
theater groups, it has a lot more to do with who you know. And if you have these connections with them and you've networked with them, there are some theater companies in Eugene that I've auditioned for that I just don't even bother auditioning for anymore because I'm not really in their group. And one of the interesting things is that every director that I know in Roving Park Players has their own group, which unfortunately we kind of refer to as a stable of actors who will come out for us. And it's really kind of nice to know you can just kind of go, "Phew, I got this guy, I got this covered, I have this done," and that's kind of how you do it. So for us, the Roving Park Players, it's real easy to get in.
Okay.
For some others, like Very Little Theater or Oregon Contemporary Theater, it's a lot more difficult. I couldn't tell you about the children's theaters, which are around town, Pegasus and New Rose. Those are good theaters, really great and great for children, but I have no idea how you get into them or what you do. I've worked with kids who come out of them and they have really good acting chops, which is great, but
That's impressive.
that's it. But usually just show up
Okay.
and you'll get in.
Okay, so let me ask this one. Ooh, splashy, splashy, splashy.
I have a drinking problem.
Yeah, I know about that too. Okay, what is your inspiration or motivation to keep this art form alive in the Eugene Metro and beyond?
Well, for me, mostly it's largely my ego. And absolutely love to play pretend, and I love to perform in front of other people. But I also love to mentor other people as they are learning to act and perform. So that is a really big part of it for me. I feel like with the Roving Park Players, what our bottom line is that we tell stories. And so, no matter what's going on, and I mean no matter what's going on, whether it's raining, whether there is a train going by, whether, you know, the the set falls down behind you or something like that, and those are all things that have happened, you tell the story. Sometimes the story is you telling the story, with the train going by or the set falling over backwards, but that's just kind of part of it. So the motivation also though for me deepest, and this is what being a performer is about to me, and I like to share this with people, is the communion you have with the audience, where you can look them in the eye and you can make them swear up and down that, like I am Mrs. Lady Sneerwell, that I am this character. And they can look at me and I will say, I am Lady Sneerwell. And they'll go, yes, ma'am, you are. And at the same time, they are getting to be a part of this story by watching it, by seeing it. They get to participate. And then, like I said, there's the excitement of when things go wrong.
Okay.
That's always the show of the show falling apart, which for the actors is absolutely nerve-wracking. And for the audience, it's like, well, what are they going to do?
Wow. But that leads me to this one. The life-work balance is, when in the opening we talked about your work at the Wall Hall and the other things that you do. I mean, how do you manage to devote the bandwidth necessary to be an active participant in this and all the other stuff going on in your wonderful world?
Well, I take a lot of naps. I have one day a week where I lay on the couch and I do nothing but read and sleep
Okay.
and feel guilty because my house is a mess. I also kind of limit how much I do. For instance, my Wow Hall work, that's my job, man. And so I do it. I make this is going to take a priority. And then following that, though, I get a lot of support from my coworkers at the Wow Hall when I am doing a play, so that I'm able to say, look, I got to get picked up at like 4:30, and they'll say, yeah, we'll cover. You're good. You're fine. And that really helps a lot.
I bet.
I have, my partner is very patient with me about this. He has accepted the fact that you're doing a play. I'll say, well, I'm set to direct this, and he says, of course you are, and that's kind of how that works. But so it really helps to give yourself space to take care of yourself. And also for me, acting is it's like drinking water. It rejuvenates me. It makes me feel good. And I talk to my friends who are actors too, and they say exactly the same thing. I act because it's that one time where I feel fully alive, and it's really kind of exciting. Sometimes you feel fully alive because horrible things are happening and you're absolutely terrified, and you're just trying to figure out, how do I get off of this stage as quickly as I can? But other times there's that moment where you have them in your hand, and that feeds you so well that you can be exhausted, you can be tired, you can say, okay, now it's dark and it's 10 o'clock at night and I've been going since 7:30 this morning and I'm really tired and all I want to do is rest. And you have that energy to carry on that far. And then you go home and you rest. You really do. Eat ice cream, eat potato chips, take it easy, do what you can.
Okay, I like that. I mean, all of that, really, especially the ice cream, potato chips, and being happy. I was thinking about this when I was putting this outline together, and thinking, all the stuff on the web. Obviously YouTube, you can do basically fix your car, paint your house, figure out how to work all your toys. Do you like watch YouTube to see like what other groups are doing for inspiration or ideas, or no, or like anything like that? I should say.
I don't really. The inspiration I look for, I go to YouTube because I do vocal warm ups and I
Okay.
want to see what other people are doing to do vocal warm ups for people because I tend to lead them and because I have a really loud voice. And that's kind of what I do. But what I tell people actually when they're acting or learning about acting, I say, look at the guys who are really good, copy them. This is the one thing where it's completely okay to look at your neighbor's paper and copy it.
Words of
Do
wisdom,
it
y'all.
because that's how you learn it.
Wow, I like that. Okay. So let me see. Let me ask you this again. We talked about this the last time, but of course my brain is so foggy. Shh, you don't want to know why it's so foggy. Years of abuse, but hey, the people who know me and watch this probably already figured that one out. But that said, the process itself. I mean, I'm always curious about this. I mean, just basically from concept to final call. I mean, I know there's so much involved, and you don't have to like go step by step, but kind of give
Really?
us, yeah, I mean, kind of give us like a big picture arc of what that looks like from going like concept. So let's say it's November of last year, and somebody's saying, okay, this is what we're going to do in
Yeah.
March,
Yeah.
summer, and then in the fall. How does that all
Usually
piece
we all
together?
get together and we discuss who's going to direct what.
Okay.
We're getting ready to have a meeting real soon to discuss our 2027 season, and all of us are like, I don't know, what do you want to do? I have an idea about a thing I want to do, and I'm hoping I'll be able to see it, so I'm going to pitch it. You make the pitch, you see if it can go. I've wanted to direct Romeo and Juliet for about 7 years, and I'm kind of giving up on that one. I'm kind of going, no, I don't think I'm ever going to get to
Why
direct
so?
Romeo and Juliet because it just keeps getting pushed away for
Well, that
somebody
sucks.
else to do something else.
Okay,
And then
well,
they'll say,
that's
but
cool.
we'd love it if you do a Christmas Carol or this Jane Austen or this thing, And so it's kind of interesting. So you start with a pitch, and you pitch it to the other directors or members of Roving Park Player, the board members, and they will say, yeah, that sounds great, or yeah, that sounds a little strange. If you're from outside the group, if you have never, we've been in a Roving Park Players production, we want you to be a part of the Roving Park Players productions to see how we do it and to see just what the boundaries are and the limits are of doing this, that it isn't just like, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to move this couch onto the set, or something like that. We don't do that. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of resources to do a lot of things. And so you have to really figure your resources. So and then once you've got your play picked out, you kind of figure out a date for when you're going to do it, and then you go backwards to how you're going to put that together, and you put your schedule together, how you're going to do your blocking when you want people not able to do this, not call for line or hold their scripts or anything like that, but have their lines memorized. Then there is always the business of costuming, which, when we're lucky, we get somebody who gets excited about doing costumes and we don't have to do them ourselves, and other times we do. There is, and then, so we've got our costumes on, we've got our lines memorized, we're putting on the play. So you put on the play for about 4 weeks, which, once again, like I said, involves going places and unpacking and repacking things. And then when it's all over, you have a party. You have a big party
Oh, we
with
like that.
everybody, or sometimes 2 or 3 big parties, and they
We like
are
that even
really
more.
fun. I got to share a funny story because
Please.
we did this play called School for Scandal by Richard Sheridan, and it's a very funny play, but it's also a very, very, very wordy play. And we had one actress who had a very long speech, and she always kind of had trouble with it. And the fact was, she and I were scene partners in this. So I was not allowed to help her out. I wasn't like from across the room going, so what was it that you said to Lady So-and-so in the bathhouse or something like that? I have to just hold my face straight and look her in the eye. I can't give her cues to berate me, right? So, and I could see she's hitting a point where she is struggling and struggling. And she just stops and she just looks at the audience and says, and liberty and justice for all. And it was really funny. And then that's my scene where I run off stage angry. That's the end for me. And it was absolutely hilarious. And that night, of course, we went to a cast party and we started, toasting. And of course, that was one of our toasts was on liberty and justice for all. It's now become a part of our tradition that is that. And that was that moment. We have this rule where when you don't know what to say, or as they say, if you mess up, have fun with it. And that's what she did. And it was the most beautiful example of that. So it was great.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow. That's perfect because it kind of dovetails into what I was going to ask you next. This is basically about triumphs and failures, or nightmares or hiccups, proud moments, high or lows. I'll let you attack this any way you want.
Well, okay. So I have twice had my costume, being my skirt, fall apart on me on stage, fall off. I had one time it was ripped and I had to hold it up, and that was when I was 17 doing a play called Charlie's Aunt, and it was not a dress rehearsal, it was an actual performance. My skirt got ripped. I heard the ripping sound, I started to feel the breeze, and I had to hold it up.
Oh my.
And I had a long monologue, which I did with one hand behind my back while the director was saying, "Find a way to get off stage, I'll help you." And I'm like, gotta finish the monologue. And then I did it. And then it happened again. Oh gosh, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, we were doing a dress rehearsal, thank heavens, but we had people in it for Comedy of Errors. And I was playing Adriana, which is kind of one of the lead characters, and an unhappy wife. And it's the final scene of the play. And I rush on stage with all of the other actors are running in behind me. Well, except for two, which is about 8 people or something. And I rush on stage, and I'm out there, and I feel a breeze. Ooh. And I look down, and there's my skirt pooled around my feet. And I'm just like, okay, this is a very much an oh my God moment. So I just pull it up, put it back on. I say, live theater, man. Anything can happen, my dears. And the assistant director was like this. She was like, oh my God. It was like this moment where it was like, you got to roll with it. You just have to roll with it. So that was kind of an interesting thing. Another time.
Sounds like it.
We were doing, what was it? Merry Wives of Windsor. And our set just blew over behind us.
The set blew over.
It just blew over behind us. And so, because wind is kind of your enemy. Okay, yeah. Wind is totally your enemy when you're in outdoor theater. Rain,
you did say
not
extreme
even...
earlier.
Yes, exactly. And my scene partner, my friend Pat, and I, we actually kind of went, okay. And we just finished the scene and went off while behind us people are busily putting the set back together. And I've seen that. I remember doing Richard III and being backstage, goofing off like we do backstage, and having the set start to fall apart. And I'm not a very tall person, as well you know. Mm-hmm. And so I was way up on my tiptoes, absolutely stretched out, holding the set up with somebody else while we're waiting for the people who are on stage who can actually fix the set, who are doing a scene, come back to fix the set. And that was a real experience. For triumphs, there's so many.
So many.
In the sense that it's like that ability to connect with someone.
Okay, I like that.
Every time I am able to connect with an audience member and I can tell the story well and I can get a good laugh, and I'll tell you, laughs are gold. As they say, dying's easy, comedy's hard.
Words of wisdom from a very wise woman.
That is definitely the truth of the matter, though, with that. And so it's always wonderful to get a really good laugh. One of my hardest scenes, I had to pull a face, and I can't do it for you right now because it takes about a few minutes in front of the mirror and a lot of practice. But it did involve a big sneer, kind of a buck teeth thing, and my mouth gaping open. And it was supposed to say I was absolutely flummoxed by what happened next, which in this scene was I was lying because I was behind all of this. And then what I had to do was move my head from stage right, 180 degrees to stage left, holding that with everybody laughing really hard. And being able to do that, it's hard work, being able to hold it together. That to me, when everything is falling apart and you can still stay in character, you can still do your part, that takes work.
Heck yeah. And I can definitely imagine everything that you're working with and against maintaining composure. Yeah, that's a full time job in its own right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, folks, we're going to take another break and then we'll come back and wrap this up with a few more wonderful questions for the wonderful Danette. All right, then. I hope you are enjoying the conversation with Miss Danette. Always a pleasure to have her back in the foxhole. Like I said before, if you want to be a part of this experience, we'd love to have you. FTINFX at gmail.com or call the hotline 541 525 0896. Keep an eye out for new episodes of Aftershocks in Foxtrotting in the Foxhole. A lot of exciting things are going to be happening with the Foxtrotting in the Foxhole platform in the weeks and days to come. Stay tuned. Like we said, high fidelity experiences to come, World Cup, lots of fun things to happen in the summer as we get closer and closer to football madness. Anyhow, we're going to be doing sports, we're going to be doing culture, we're going to be doing all sorts of things. And then SJ gets down, has just let us know she's ready to start cooking on her platform again. It's going to be a fun summer all the way around. All right, folks, we're going to get back to our conversation with Miss Danette and learn more about the Roaring Park players. As you've seen in some of the trailers, we're providing the information where you can learn more about the Roaring Park players and where you can donate if you want to help. Help a sister and her people out. All right, folks, we're going to get cracking here. All righty, we are back one more time with Miss Danette. And okay, because she's kind of mentioned throughout this little interview that we're doing, and I'm so glad she took the time again to speak with me and be part of the Foxhole experience. What can we look forward to? I mean, what are you currently involved, and what can we look forward to going into 2027 as far as things that you guys will be offering with the Ribbon Park players?
Well, at this point, we don't have our 2027 season
Okay.
figured out at all, but I am hoping, and I'm going to be pitching, doing Shakespeare's 12th Night, hopefully in mid to late January, because it's a really funny play, and it's another one I've always wanted to do, and I just look forward to doing it. What we've got right now, though, is, of course, I've mentioned it before, Midsummer Night's Dream, which is coming up in June, between June 11th and June 21st. We will be having productions on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I can give the places where they'll be, and they'll be free, so we're not actually plugging anything for real. And then in August, we will be doing Wind in the Willows, which is our all ages show, which is really fun because families come together and they all act together, and it's just a great time. And it's Wind in the Willows, so it's really special. So that's
Wind in the
kind of,
Willows?
yeah, yeah. It's our second time doing it too.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to be in this one because I've got a lot happening in August, but I have done it before, and it captures that lovely feeling of mucking around in boats and the countryside by a river. It's really special.
Okay. We like the sounds of that.
Yeah.
And I was like looking down, right? So at the end of the year, you're going to be in the director's chair again, right?
If they want me to, I will be really happy to be doing that. If I get the green light for 12th night, I'll be doing that. And it's been about 2 years since I've directed. I kind of made it a rule that I would direct every other year.
Every other year.
And I was planning to do Christmas Carol just kind of annually or something if they wanted me to do it. But I'm also looking for other projects. I'm totally thinking of what I can do. We do public domain shows, so we don't have to pay royalties on them because we don't really have the money for that. So I'm kind of trying to find something in the public domain. And I will tell you, quite frankly, I have done so few shows with less than 10 people. I would love to do a show with like a 6-person cast. And it's funny because I was talking about 12th Night and it doesn't have that huge a cast. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I need. Just to see what it's like to not,
Okay.
if nothing more, have to remember everybody's name.
That's interesting because relaunching this whole the scene podcast. The first episode is with my friend who used to live here, and she's like the main wig maker, I guess, for the Alabama Shakespeare Festival. Yeah, and she was talking about this one job she got where I had to do 35 wigs. And I'm just sitting there thinking, yeah, it must be nice when you think about, maybe just 6 will be fine, right? 6 is manageable. I'm like, dude, when you're doing 35 wigs, I'm like, how big is this cast?
Yes, yes, I know. And some of the shows that I've done, like A Christmas Carol, it's like I have to double or triple cast. The only person who played one character in A Christmas Carol is the person who plays Scrooge. We were joking about this, but whoever gets cast as Marley is always going to be the tallest person who auditions. And whoever gets cast as the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come is the person who plays Marley because they're the tallest person and they're able to loom. I mean, that's how you make casting decisions sometimes. But so it's kind of nice to be able to just think, I just don't want to figure out how many people I need. When you put like a play like Christmas Carol together, there's 42 characters. So if you have 16 people, they're going to be playing more than one character regularly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Given the resources and people power, yeah, I can see that. They're available to you.
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you this. I think I asked you this last time, but I think it resonates even more. How do you see the future of like ICT, as we want to call it?
What's ICT?
Itinerant Community Theater.
Oh, okay. ICT, man. Okay. I think that as long as there are people who are willing to load up their cars and carry things across a field or something, they will. The audiences come. One of the places that we rehearse is on the bike path, and people stop and they watch us. They're,
Which
look
bike
at them.
path?
Maury Jacobs.
Okay.
We're heading, I think it's northwest or something. Yeah. And we get a lot of people are just like, yeah, this is cool. We want to see this. This is exciting. I'm not coming to this performance, but I will be at this next one or something like that. So that's really fun. And the people who provide venues for us, they're wonderful. It's golden.
So who is providing venues for you? Is it?
Well, for this particular show that's coming up, for a Midsummer Night's Dream, we have Peterson Barn, and we have just started a relationship with the Applegate Regional Theater in Veneta. And that is actually really fun because it's a beautiful theater, really great theater feeling, I don't know, energy there. And there is, and people come. We thought, oh, they don't know who we are. We did one show out there. We were really worried nobody'd be there. And it was full of people. And they liked it. And they had fun with it. You know, it was crazy. And then we also have Maury Jacobs Park. And where we are actually doing our performances is at the end of North Grand Avenue. And then we are in the Owen Rose Garden. And we've got a really nice spot on the lawn near the big old cherry tree for our performances there. Audience always gets the shade. Actors always end up in the sun. And then we will be doing shows at Island Park. We have consistently been doing shows at Peterson Barn, Island Park, and Maury Jacobs for probably as long as we've been doing this. And then we've had some others that we've picked up. When we do indoor shows, we usually talk to churches and talk to residential care facilities to see if they have space, because we're entertainment and we're free. So we get those.
Free. There's not many things that are free anymore, folks. Keep that in mind. Especially where you can be entertained. Just saying.
Well, we beg for money a lot, though.
That's interesting, because you talked about that before, and I said, well, I'll get some information from you, and in the little inner scenes in between, I'll definitely put information for people to help out if they can or want to. That said, are you ever part of like the grant writing process?
I have been. I have had some experience working with people writing grants, and then I took on a grant all by myself, and I can't remember. I think it was an Oregon Community Foundation or something like that grant, and what we were looking for was operating expense money. And they said, no, I think you want, I wrote it all out, and I did it, and I proofread it, and I went through it, word count, everything is where it should be, got all the numbers and the money together, things are submitted in time. After, weeks of procrastination, because I'm like, I don't know if I can really do this. I did it. And within about not even 24 hours, I think it was about 12 hours, I get this message saying, that was really a nicely written grant, but I think you should have applied for the project grant. So another one of us on the team decided that, okay, I will write the project grant. And she just jumped in and did that really hard. And then we all talked about it, and we said, we're going to be a lot happier if we can just find somebody who isn't one of us doing it, because everybody's plate is really full. And it was like, this one more thing. When I said I wanted to help out with grant writing, what I wanted to do was proofread a grant. Not write it. I know. Learned the hard way.
No, I understand that far, far too much. And when people try to, especially when I've worked for like non-profs, and it's like, oh, do you want to be part of our grant writing team? No.
But I want to get better at it.
Yeah,
but at the
it's a
same
great skill to
time,
have, no doubt.
Yeah, it's like really, really heavy homework. It's like that 600-page paper you have to write or something. It's not 600 pages, but it's always a lot of writing. You have to be real serious. And you worry about, am I doing it right? How am I doing it wrong, Because when you're writing a grant, you're doing it because you're coming from a place where you need the money. And so there's kind of this urgency around it. So we're doing other kinds of fundraising now instead of that at the moment.
Awesome. Okay, let me ask you this as we start to wind down. Okay, I know there's a website, and I will post that so people can see when I do the edit. Is there any we spoke about YouTube earlier. Has anybody ever captured your stuff and posted it on YouTube so people wanted to check this stuff out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I've seen it on YouTube, but we show up on community theater or community TV, community access television.
Like 20,
we
29
show up
or something like that.
And
okay.
yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy because you'll just be kind of channel surfing, and then suddenly it's like, that's us. It's really weird.
Okay.
And we have
that.
We have some friends who will shoot the phone, videotape it for us. And there's people like me who are like, I want to see it, and then I don't want to see it.
I
Yeah.
can relate when it comes to like watching this, watching the things I do. I'm like, oh, but I gotta see it to learn how I can be better.
We're all like, I don't want to hear my voice and I don't want to see my face. A bunch of us are like that. So we do have people who do it, but no, we're not. I do not believe we have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
That would be something that I think we've talked about developing, and we all went, yeah, that would be a really good idea. But, and then nobody actually said, yeah,
Right.
I'll do it.
With 180
So,
other things to do and dots to connect and follow up on.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's way down here as far as
Yeah.
priorities are concerned. I know that.
We do frequently, like I have a lot of discs, though. I have a lot of CDs that are of plays that I've done.
Okay.
And quite frankly, I don't look at them.
I, when would you ever have time?
Oh, when I'm taking a nap.
Yes.
But the
But those
thing
things are
is,
important. So
Yeah.
I say, when would people have time as
Yeah.
opposed to like the things that keep us sane and keep us on track?
yeah, and watching yourself or watching a show that you directed and seeing, oh God, it was really funny. Like we did a production of Christmas Carol, and we had a great big street lamp. And we were at Sheldon Oaks, a residential care facility for seniors, and we had this guy had to move the street lamp, get the street lamp off the scene because we're doing an interior scene, right? So get it off, and man, it's just like bang, and he hits like something, just hits the top of that street lamp. It didn't break off, but every time he did it, we just like, oh God, he's hitting that, and when you watch the video, you see those things over and over again, and it's just like, I don't want to see it. Other people don't really care, but when you're the director or the actor, it's like, sticking pins in you, it's really hard.
Oh my. That is so wild. Okay, before I get the last one in, I want to follow up with, okay, you did say that you want to do Romeo and Juliet. What else would you want to do down the road as far as either acting or directing in?
Oh man, there's a lot of things I think I'd like to act in, but
yeah?
I don't know that I get to do them. There's a play called The Gin Game. It's 2-person. I'd either like to direct it or act in it, but it's public domain, so I don't know if we could afford the scripts and the royalties that would go with it. I would like to do Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. That's definitely one I would like to either direct, and I would love to act in it. I would love to do Hamlet and not play Hamlet. I'd like to play Gertrude, but I would love to act in Hamlet or direct Hamlet at some point. But that's once again, that's such a high prestige piece. And I don't know. There's other things that I see. There's a guy. He's an absurdist theater person named Eugene UNESCO, and I would love to do The Bald Soprano or something else by UNESCO because he's crazy. It's nuts and it's fun. I like to do crazy stuff. So
I would have never imagined that.
I know. For somebody who does so much straight things, it's like Christmas Carol, Jane Austen, like that. It's like, no, I want to do The Bald Soprano. That's a really crazy one. But other than that, I have a girlfriend who's doing Shakespeare in Love. I think she's directing Shakespeare in Love, and I would love to play Queen Elizabeth in Shakespeare in Love. I would love to play Penny Sycamore in You Can't Take It With You. I played her once, and I'd love to play her again. She's one of my favorites. We gender bend, so there's some male parts that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, but Mercutio, in Romeo and Juliet would be super fun. Death of a Salesman? No, I don't think.
No Willie Loman for you?
Not Willie Loman. No, I chew the scenery too much as it is. We shouldn't encourage me to do any more. So, I'm getting older, and I'm pulling away from acting more because I feel more self-conscious, both because of my height, because I'm short, and because I'm getting gray and I look old, and I feel funny. But I would love to play Queen Elizabeth, though. In
Be a rockin' Queen Elizabeth.
yeah, but I think they'll give it to somebody else.
No, they shouldn't.
Yeah, I know.
Can I circle back on something here? Just that fascinates me. When you talked about public domain and the royalties as far as that kind of being a hindrance or an impediment, well, how does that all work?
Basically, you have to pay a price for the script, and you have to pay for every performance. So you have so you might have like $60 per script, and if you have 12 people who are in the play, that's like $172. Or no, how much is it? $720. Sorry. Math not working right now. And
That's not cheap for us commoners.
no, not a bit. And then the next thing that you'd have to do is every time you have a performance, you have to pay a percentage of whatever you make, or they will have a flat fee per performance that you have to play. I have had the pleasure of doing one royalty play, and I felt very lucky that I was given permission to do it. But it also, and I'm happy to report that.
Alrighty. As you were saying?
I can't remember what I was saying. What was I saying? Something about royalties.
Yeah, we're talking about royalties
and how much it costs.
Yeah, how much it costs. And
how lucky I felt to be able to do a royalty play and have the support of my theater company behind us, and that I was able to make a profit off of that play. That was actually a big deal to me.
Profit?
Yes, and I don't mean profit like, like we're really rich, because we're a 501c3 corporation, and for obvious reasons. We fall into both categories. We filled out the paperwork and we make no money, and so what goes on with that then is that we depend on donations. And so I put on a couple of plays, and I put on that play in particular, and people donated beautifully for us. They loved the play and they were comfortable donating. And, that's a really big deal for us. That's our bread and butter. That's how we can bring the shows in. And so, yeah, I always, when I direct, want to come out in the black and not in the red.
Okay.
Definitely want that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely want you driving the bus.
Yeah. Kinda. I work my actors really pretty hard.
Okay. So, in closing, I'm going to ask you this. Anything you want to tell us that we didn't touch on, or something we should know about either Roving Park Players, ICT as I like to call it, or just this art in general?
Oh, boy, I think I've really covered a lot with it, which means that I'll probably start talking a lot longer now. I think that theater is very important. It's one of the oldest art forms that we have. Not that I can think of art forms that aren't old, but, I associate it with the ancient Greeks. I associate it with the Japanese and the Chinese. There's so much that goes on in there. And this kind of thing that happens to you when you are acting, I really think about the Greeks a lot. And I think about the belief in the muse, and how when you can kind of take your own ego and your own self out of the scene and you let the story inhabit you and take it over, that's when you get that, what we call theater magic. I mean, we make a lot of jokes about theater magic, We'll do something like, we'll take a bicycle helmet, and we'll put a little paper mache around it and attach some ears to it and some eyes and call it a donkey's head, We will get a black box and call it a couch. That's theater magic, right? But real theater magic is when you let kind of the spirit of the story and the spirit of the character inhabit you without it taking you over. There's always this point where you just get off and you're done. You're not that person anymore. And to me, I love to be a part of it. I can't even explain what it is, but in the theater troupe that I'm with, we were all kids who were pretending a lot, and that's the wonderful thing, and that's what I encourage people to do. Come and play with us. We call it a play, not a work, and pretend, be goofy, have fun. Let's see where we go, and it's great.
It is great. I mean, I'm floored by all that when I sit there and think of how much fun that must be. And like you said earlier, it's one of these things in a time where everything is expensive as what, that you can have so much love and enjoyment and share it with others and it's not going to break the bank. That is so
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to add one thing too, though. When I talk about like how much fun it is and come and play, you have to be really disciplined. You have to study your lines. You have to know what you're doing. There is a lot that goes on. When you're outside in the parks, there are birds, there are leaves, there are spiders sometimes that drop
Dogs.
down on a branch. There are dogs, there are babies. There's a little kid who's adorable. What's that kid doing? You have to focus on what you're doing. You really have to stay in the moment where you are. You have to be focused. You have to know your lines. When I am doing a play, and I have very few lines in the play I'm doing right now, I make sure that I say my lines three times a day. Takes about 2 hours or an hour to actually memorize a sentence. It takes about 2 or 3 hours to memorize a paragraph. You work it and work it and work it. You can't trust yourself. You constantly have to work on it because nothing is worse than getting up there and going, well, there's this moment. This is the deal. Like when you're at the poker table and you say, who's the patsy? You have to ask the question. It's you. Okay. When your question is, whose line is it? It's yours. It is always yours. And the worst thing is when they all turn and they look at you and they're like, aren't you going to say it? And you're like, say what? And I mean, we have things we do for that too. I'm just going to say really quickly. Here's the thing we do is like, so let's say, your line is like somebody says their line to you and you go completely blank or they're all quiet and you look at them and you say, I don't know what to say to that. And that is your way of saying, help me, please. I'm in so much trouble. To which they all go, oh, what do we do? Every now and then we know the scene well enough. We're able to just come in and rescue. And weren't you talking about Mrs. So-and-so the other day or something like that? But if we don't know the scene enough, if we only know the line before what we say, it's always interesting. It gets very interesting.
That's fascinating as well, because I was kind of wondering about that. So, this is just a silly side question. Do you ever have somebody who is a slacker and
Yes.
doesn't know their lines?
Yes.
And how do you work through that?
Well, with RPP, we are very forgiving.
That's good to know.
I work with people now. If I'm a director or if I am in a play and there is someone who is struggling with their lines, they go to boot camp, and boot camp is with me, and I make them learn their lines backwards and forwards. They have to put the work in. You can't just learn it one way. You have to know where your prepositions are. You have to hit your endings hard. You have to know what the first word is and the last word, because you'll get those other words in between. And oddly enough, final clauses are like the easiest thing to remember. Opening words, the first word is always hard. And let's see. So that's a memorization thing. The other thing is that we do with the roving park players is if we have a character who is just in the dark, we let them carry a book that looks like part of their character, a little red book. And in that little red book is their script. And they are following when they will speak. Now, they're not allowed to look down and read the line. They have to look at the audience or their character and make it natural. But they get a cheat because it moves faster.
Okay.
And that's what we do. I expect people to work hard, but I will also give them a cheat. But I put people through Danette's boot camp a few times. In fact, today I had somebody in boot camp.
Today even?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So, real quick, what did that entail?
Well, mostly what happened was this individual is a good friend of mine. He had memorized his lines as a whole sentence. And we have this thing called going into the weeds. And what that means is that you add words or you forget words. Now, forgetting words really isn't the problem, oddly enough, though you will forget your first word. But then you add words to try and find what you're saying. And it just gets more and more convoluted. So he was just adding words here and there. So I was pulling those out. And then I was making him do this thing called a line build. And I will demonstrate that. I have a line in this play right now, which is, Let's see. Have you the lion's part written? Pray you, if it be, give it me, for I am slow of study. So I memorized that like this. Have you the. Okay, so that's the first thing. Have you the lion? So you go all the way through that. Then you do it backwards. Written, let's see. Part written, lion's part written, the lion's part written. Have the lion's part written. No. You have the lion's part written. Have you the lion's part written? I make you do that forwards and backwards because it's like beads on a chain or on a string, and each bead is in its correct place. If you do it like that, you stay out of the weeds. I have another line that I really want to mess up. The line is, if our sport had gone forward, we had all been made men. Okay, so this is the way you want to say it when you're not paying attention to what you're saying. If we had gone forward with our sport, we had been all made men. Okay, but Shakespeare never does things easy. Okay. Well, oddly enough, it was easy for the people who were memorizing, but in 16th and 17th century England. But for those of us who are saying it, we call it Yoda speak, and there's a lot of Yoda speak, and that's why you have to do that forward and backward thing. And all of the lines that I have in this play, I've done that. Every play I've been in, I've done it, and it's basically covered me. Another thing I heard was say them 100 times. And they will be yours. And it's actually easy once you think, okay, I'm saying them 5 times. Now I'm going to do that again. Now I'm at 10 times. Then you just only have 90 more times. And it's actually not that hard. You just make it a habit. You're standing in the grocery line. Everywhere you go, you carry your script with you, you look at it, and then you say your lines. Don't cheat with your script.
Don't cheat with your script, folks.
Yep. And the other thing is I wear, I put it on my voice recorder, and I have my earbuds in so I can listen to what is going on before my line. So I won't be out, outside watching a bird somewhere, and suddenly they're all looking at me because I didn't get my cue. You got to pay attention to your cues. And so when you work with the voice recorder and you do 4 or 5 lines before your cue line, and then your cue line, and maybe a couple of lines after your cue line, or after your line, simply to let you know what you are saying and why it's important, because that's, like I said, we're telling a story, so we have to say things correctly and in order to tell that story well, to describe things, to move things forward.
The cat's so curious.
I know she is. She's very curious and cross-eyed too.
Oh, my. Huh.
You be a good girl, little girl.
Yeah.
Oh, here she comes. Yeah. She's actually really a bold kitty. Come here, little girl. Come here. Nope.
No camera time for you.
Yeah, that's her.
Okay. So, yeah, I think that kind of covers what I was going to ask as far as. Oh.
It's growing things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, you put it on the floor, though.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that covers, a whole lot. I'm glad to, have you back again. And, definitely going to put the word out there, get some more info from you as far as how y'all can come help out, how y'all can check it out, which is just as important. One hand holds the other. Mm-hmm. And, it's going to be really curious to see how this plays out through the rest of the year. Like I said, hope that you get to direct at the end of the year so we can see what that's all about. Because at one point I was trying to help them out a few years ago, but somehow it never did with you and Bradley and things like that.
Oh, I know. We so wanted to do that. It just didn't work out.
It just didn't work out. But, these things happen in this lifetime.
Yeah.
But, okay. In the meantime, folks, be back on the other side to cap it off. But this has been fantastic. I'm sure we will do this again as time goes on. And hopefully we might even go on site while you guys are doing this. Like with my friend who does the SJ Gets Down podcast, we're always looking for adventures to do. And I'm sure I could talk her into, let's go check out what the Riven Park players are doing.
Sounds really cool, actually. I love it. And I just want to throw in really quickly, we perform rain or shine. And if it is raining, the audience gets to be on the tarps under the canopies. The actors are in the rain, not the audience.
Wow. There you go, folks. So there is no excuse.
That's right. No
No
excuse.
excuse. All right. Well, we're going to do our part to put the word out and make sure that they find out about this wonderful thing. 'Cause there's so many cool things that nobody knows about in this community and should. All right. Well,
Yeah.
that was fantastic chatting with you, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you so much, Kenny, for having me.
All righty. All right then. Thank you, Danette, for coming back to the foxhole for a second time. Always wonderful. And like I said at the end there, we're going to try to get on site with them when they are actually in production. So I have a feeling we have not heard the last as far as what's up with the Roving Park players. All right, folks. We got Aftershocks. We also got episode 1 with Angie Wright of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival in the hopper. This is in the hopper. Lots of episodes with Aftershocks. We're getting ready to wrap up season 10 of Fox in the Foxhole. And the big surprise there is that, yes, that is also going to be video. Probably some before season 11 or sometime in season 11, we're going video there. SJ Gets Down is about to bloom. So, yeah, this is going to be a summer of spectacular fun. In the meantime, as we always say on this platform, stay safe. Definitely stay sane. Not easy in this time of wildness. And avoid the bracelets because the Great Bar Hilton, we ain't having any of that if we can direct our own destiny as far as that goes. Over the weekend, enjoy some good food, beverages, the people that matter, graduates, high school, and college. Be safe and enjoy and buckle down. This world isn't easy. All right, folks. We're going to be dropping content left and right. Fox Running the Foxhole coming tomorrow. This is going to probably come out late at night. Tell your friends, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, FTINFX Media. All that stuff. We'll be seeing you all soon enough.